At the moment, I think the crisis in the Ukraine had relatively limited effects on the emerging markets in general. Of course, there is some financial market fallout, especially in the Ukraine itself, and with Russia being next door. But surprisingly, this has not spread so quickly to other emerging markets. There has been a greater pickup in worries about political risk and alike. But yet, this has not caused major revaluations of markets in Asia or in Africa or in Latin America. There may be knock-on effects through the prices of certain commodities which could be affected by financial sanctions or disruptions in supply to Europe, and that does affect some emerging markets directly, especially if they're energy exporters. I think this crisis has caused a number of people in Western Europe to think again about how closely they want to integrate with the Russian economy, although there's still a very strong business community, most particularly in Germany and in Italy, which have very strong ties to Russia, and they have no intention of letting go of them. The British, of course, have a series of ties to the Russians through finance and through oil. And so I think we will see an evolution in Russia's treatment from the rest of the world. And we may even see the Russians reorienting more of their exports and growth towards Asia and away from Europe, which they see as being potentially subject to sanctions. So I think there'll be the changes, perhaps not as headline grabbing as sometimes the newspapers make it clear, but there'll be subtle changes which will play out, I think, over 5 to 10 years, well after people have forgotten about what's happened in the Crimea. I must say I did a project almost 5 years ago with a group of analysts on European economic policy challenges. And one of the scariest presentations I saw was by the person responsible for writing about energy and energy security. The sheer dependence upon Russia for different types of energy supplies was remarkable. In fact, something which no policymaker in their right mind would allow to have happened if they were designing it. And yet this is one of these situations which I think the problems are increasingly being recognized. And there will be, I suspect, changes over time in energy policy, perhaps with a rethink about banning nuclear power in Germany, and perhaps with an extension of other types of power sources to other parts of the world. So I think all of these factors are being re-evaluated in the months and years ahead, and I think we may end up with a slightly different energy environment or energy landscape than the one Mr. Putin had in mind for us.